Yes, my name is Mike Bach, and I'm a longtime resident in Kettering. I taught school in West Carrollton for 30 years and retired there. And I've decided to try to make a contribution to my community by agreeing and working on the Board of Education. Just yesterday I went into the John F. Kennedy School, where the program is for children whose English is a second language. And I have to say that I'm just very, very impressed by everything I see in Kettering. I talked to the principal, Amy Allen, and I said, how in the world do you keep your floors so clean? It was just like spotless. And she praised everybody there and gave everybody else credit. But the children I saw there were working. They were, it was very orderly. It obviously was a very excellent school. And I think Kettering residents need to be very proud of their schools. Mr. Bayless has brought out that we're entering some rough waters. We're entering a time in Kettering that's going to be a big challenge. And so the question is, how do we respond to that challenge? And my point is, we have to do it by gaining public support. We have to be doing everything that we're doing in a way that gains public support. I made up a couple of little graphs here. One thing that's not been reported in Kettering is reported enough anyway, is what's happening to the total tax base. Total tax base is going down. This looks like a little more exaggerated because I didn't start at zero. But over the last 4 years, we've lost tax base, which means that our taxes, basically, we're going to have to pay more money to gain the same revenue. The $102 million bond that we passed last year, we were paying 3.6 mils on it. This year, we're paying 4.5 mils. The millage had to increase simply to make the payments on the payment on the interest and principal. So how do we respond to this sort of thing is by being truthful to our public and by
I'm sorry, but
honest. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, the biggest challenge, I think, for Kettering is to be planning for the future. As Mr. Bayless said earlier, we're in some rough waters, and we need leadership in order to get to a better future than we are today. I think Kettering has always had an excellent school system. How can we have an excellent school system in the future is our challenge. In order to do that, we need to have public support. We need to do everything we can to involve people in our schools. I'm troubled by the fact that we have a lack of transparency in Kettering, and sometimes it's very difficult to find out what the board is doing and the issues that are really facing them. I think in this last May election, where we approved a 6.9 mil levy, I disagreed with the way that was advertised. It was advertised as a 0% increase in taxes, when actually there is an increase in tax on that. Our effective rate was 6.16. It'll be much more than that. It'll be somewhat more than that next year. It's not a huge increase, but it's an increase. And whenever you do something where you're not really straight with the public and where you're not really completely honest, where you're not transparent, you lose public support. I think after that levy was passed, the teachers got a 3% raise, and the board split on that. And Frank Mouse and Jim Trent voted against that. And you know, I think voters need to know that I would have agreed at that point with Frank Mouse and Jim Trent, because I think that to have a raise after a levy, when that was not even part of the levy discussion, was a mistake. I think it erodes public support. So I think, how do we have leadership that will be effective in bringing public together? We have to do it through more transparency. We have to be more willing to involve the public in positive ways. Now, that's an interesting question. I think the best marketing is always telling the truth. And I think that, again, this whole idea of transparency, I think Kettering is doing lots and lots of good things. We have a lot of special programs where kids are really challenged and where they have a chance to do their best. I'm very impressed by the new baccalaureate program, international baccalaureate program that's been instituted in the high school, for example. I think we have programs for every type of student need. So in terms of marketing, I think it's all about transparency, and that ties in with what I was saying earlier in terms of the school finance, is that we need to have ways to invite more people into the school and we need to have improvements in the way that we're showing things on our website and other things. I think people are not only looking for educational quality, they're also looking for a sound leadership in all areas, including our financial areas. I think next year we're probably going to have a new tax levy, which it looks like will be as much as 7 mills. Have we prepared the public to understand that, and particularly in light of how the last levy was passed? So I think marketing is one thing, but rather than marketing, we have to have substance to back that up. Sometimes it's hard to believe this is 2009. You know, we are in the future now. I remember when I graduated from high school in 1965 from Northridge High School, which it's, 2009 seemed way distant in the future. I think our challenge is to plan for the future and to try to see if we can make not just marginal improvements, but really to make a big leap into the future in quality, something different than what we have now. I'm writing a little book that's called Kettering Education in the Year 2022. That's when today's kindergartners will be graduating from high school. And I'm putting that out there so we can have something to discuss. We're too settled, I think, on test scores, and schools that get the rating from the state that they're excellent need to remember that these test scores are really just minimum requirements. And if you get all the kids to pass this certain benchmark, that doesn't mean you're excellent. We need to be giving a lot of thought to what it really means to be an excellent school district. I think that Kettering is well positioned to be a leader in education and not just trying to catch up with other people. We think of Charles Kettering, as being a person who's an innovator and a person who is forward-looking. And to make the big changes that we actually need to make in education, we need to be planning today. We need to be thinking about these things. Change doesn't come easily to a big organization like a school. It takes years to really make positive change. So we need to think not just in marginal things, but we need to think in big steps of improvement. And the way that we can do that, I think, is by getting the public and getting people involved. I think there are a lot of foundations would help us with this, the universities would help with this, as we redefine what public education should be. It's much more than test scores. If you go back and look at the old mission statements, schools have always tried to do much more in terms of really preparing citizens and really developing everybody's potential. Thanks. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Bayless started his comments a while back by saying that we're in rough waters, and we are in rough waters. We are going to have to ask for more money next year. I've been reading a book by David Matthews, who's the president of the Kettering Foundation, and he says that democracy is what makes a strong school. We have to have a strong democracy if we're going to have a strong system of public education. In order to do that, we need to do everything possible to be honest with the public and to engage them as much as possible. I think that the current board members have done an excellent job in so many ways. Like I said, I've gone into the schools and I'm very impressed, and I think anybody who goes there will be very impressed with the accomplishment that's been made. But I think we need a change in the board, because I think in an important area in terms of public relations, in terms of transparency, there needs to be an improvement on that. And I'm a very experienced person also in terms of my school work, and I've done a great deal of study in terms of school reform. So I hope you'll vote for me. Thanks.
Thank you.